No bond. That is the ruling for the 4 suspects in the torture video.
Tesfaye Cooper, Jordan Hill, and sisters Tanisha and Brittany Covington are facing hate crime, kidnapping, and battery charges. Today, all of them entered a plea of not guilty.
The judge found that this case, the facts of this case, and the internet activity poses a real and substantial safety and security risk for the parties. And there was a posting that invited a good Samaritan to publicly execute these defendants.
The judge made some new restrictions on news coverage of future court hearings, not allowing a camera in the courtroom, and also instructing the courtroom sketch artist to not draw the defendants' faces or the faces of their attorneys.
Judge Maria Kyriakos Cecil told Tesfaye Cooper in particular, who has a disabled brother, where was the sense of decency when the victim's mother reached out? Cooper's brother told us his brother was high on drugs when all of this happened.
Some of the video is fake.
Defendant Hill uses a knife to cut a chunk of the victim's hair, causing a laceration to the victim's head. Defendant Hill also stabs the victim in the left forearm.
What would you like to say to the victim's family?
Nothing. We're sorry. We're very sorry.
This happened.
You know, our girls wasn't raised like this. That's all we have to say.
If he should have had for me, a motherfucker come to get him.
So that's me, okay?
See, I just want my brother to come home, because I know he ain't meant to do that. He was under influence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. Jordan Hill, Tesfaye Cooper, Tanisha Covington, and Brittany Covington have all pleaded not guilty in the kidnapping and torture of a mentally disabled white male. How in the world do you stand in front of a judge and plead not guilty when you recorded yourself committing every single crime that you have been accused of committing? Well, that nigga logic is just something else, man. And the brother of one of these morons is honestly expecting to bond his brother out of court. You want to come down and see what the bond is so you can pay it and get him out of court. And you want to blame everything: alcohol, weed, drugs, a mental lapse in judgment, everything except saying you had the prime opportunity to say on camera, what my brother did was wrong, what my brother did was foolish. He's my brother and I love him, but you have to pay for your actions. There are consequences for your irresponsible actions, and I'm sorry, but you never should have gotten yourself in this position. No. You're gonna defend this dumb nigga's behavior, and you would be more than willing to bond him out so he can cause more chaos, mayhem, death, and destruction. Again, here we go again. You see all these women running from the cameras. Where are the fathers at? There are never any fathers to be found with these 90s babies. It is an absolute disgrace. Black communities are just in such disarray, and I don't even think that they can be repaired. You know, I've always said with these 3 generations of dysfunction, you either have to put them in jail, they will kill themselves, or you have to kill them. And lawyers sometimes are just as criminal as the criminals, it would seem. I don't see how this so-called legal team can stand in front of the media, in front of the country, in front of the world, because the world saw this, with a straight face and say that these clowns deserve to get out of jail, that they should not be kept locked up. And then you're going to go so far as to tell me, well, you know, one of the reasons that they should get out is because they're really good people. They go to church like we all go to church. I don't think so, lady. You know, unless it's the Church of Satan that they go worship in. If they were to set foot in a regular church, they'd probably burn up as soon as they walked through the door. And the entire legal team is made up of public defenders, which means a real lawyer, you know, is not going to touch this. A real defense attorney knows that they are going to lose, and lose royally with this case. You're not going to make any money. You're going to be one of the most viled and hated attorneys in the country, so ain't no way in the world they're going to touch something like this. It would have been much better to simply throw yourself on the mercy of the court. What I did was wrong. What I did was stupid. What I did was racist and hateful, and I deserve whatever punishment you're going to give me, but please, I am admitting my guilt. have some mercy. I will try my best to rehab and mend my ways down the road. So don't throw me in jail. Don't lock me up and throw away the key. It would have been much better to do that, because 3 of these charges are federal charges. And you said that you were not guilty. What you're doing is you're challenging the feds. And that means when you get convicted, if you lose, and you're going to lose, your punishment is going to be way more severe than if you'd have just admitted your guilt and said, have mercy on my ratchet soul. Now, what I thoroughly dislike about this upcoming trial is the media blackout that the judge has imposed, because according to them, the media exposure is going to create a bias, and there's no way that these people are going to get a fair trial. So much so that you can't even use illustrations, because that's going to trigger so much anger, so much resentment on the part of people who see it, that there's no way that a jury or anybody can use their rational thinking mind when it comes to exacting punishment on these morons. And that is absolutely ridiculous. And I hope that the media in Chicago fights that, because first of all, who doesn't know what these idiots look like? The video is all over the place. So how in the world does a media blackout make any sense when everybody knows what they look like? This realistically should be one of the shortest trials in history. You have the recorded evidence. You know that they're guilty. They have said that they're not guilty. You don't even need a jury for this. Put them up on the stand. You said you're not guilty of kidnapping, torture, racial intimidation, and hate crimes. Right. Here's the video of you doing exactly what you said you're not guilty of. You're guilty. Go to jail. Next. That's, you'd be done with this in less than a half hour. And I shouldn't have to say it, but I'm going to say it. And we all know it to be true. If this were 4 white guys, or 2 white guys and 2 white girls, and they kidnapped a black person and did the exact same thing, their faces would be plastered all over the news, their images would be plastered all over the media, and when it came time for the trial, their faces, their illustrated faces, courthouse footage, everything would be recorded for everybody to see. But black privilege dictates that these savages, whose faces deserve to be plastered all over everywhere, you're going to protect them. And if it was a group of white people, you would not be protecting them. So, again, the news media in Chicago needs to sue to be able to be in court to record those people so everybody can see it, especially since everybody knows about it anyway. Yeah, but this is the same Chicago that a judge let 2 heroin dealers out on bond after they damn near poisoned 3 city blocks with tainted heroin. So let's read the list of charges against who I like to refer to as Satan's little helpers. Each one of them is charged with a hate crime. That is 3 years in prison plus a $25,000 fine. Felony aggravated kidnapping, that is a class 10 felony, 6 to 30 years plus a $25,000 fine, and depending on the severity of the crime, an additional 15 to 25 years can be levied. We all know that this is pretty severe. Aggravated unlawful restraint, that is a class 3 felony, 2 to 5 years plus a $25,000 fine. Aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, a class 3 felony, 2 to 5 years plus fines up to $25,000. Jordan Hill has additional charges against him for possession of a stolen motor vehicle. That is a class 3 felony, and that gives you up to 5 years in prison. Jordan Hill, Tesfaye Cooper, and Brittany Covington also have additional charges for residential burglary. That is a class 1 felony, 4 to 15 years in jail. Jordan Hill will probably look at a little bit more because he has been in jail before, so that means he is a career criminal. Also, and nobody really mentioned the extortion charges, because they did in fact call the boy's mother and said, if you want to get him back, you have to pay us some money. That is another 2 to 7 years in prison. Now, there's no way that this is going to happen, but I tallied up the total of, if they have the book thrown at them and they have to serve the maximum on everything, I tallied it all up, and this is what I came up with. Let's start with thing one. Jordan Hill, at 18 years old, he will serve a total of 95 years in prison. He will be 113 years old when he gets out. Obviously, he's not going to serve that long. So if you were to cut that in half to about 45 years, he'd be around 63 years old when he gets out. Thing two, Tesfaye Cooper, at 18 years old, he will serve a total of 90 years in prison. He will be 109 years old when he gets out. You cut that to about 45 years. Realistically, he'll be 63 years old when he gets out. I'm sorry, honestly, you look at this nigga, leave this nigga in jail. Don't you ever let him out. I don't care if this guy's 120, 150, 2,000 years old. He gonna get in trouble as soon as you let him out of jail. All right, let's move on to discount Beyonce. Tanisha Covington, at 24 years old, a 24-year-old grown-ass woman, doing this mess, man. But at 24 years old, at 90 years served, she will be 114 years old when she gets out of jail. You's gonna be an old hoe when you get out, man. That coochie hole ain't gonna be nothing but a pee hole by the time you get out of jail. But realistically, at 45 years served, that would make her about 69 years old when she gets out of jail. And last but not least, the ringleader, everybody's favorite little ghetto smurfette, Brittany Covington. At 18 years old, she will serve a total of 90 years. That will make her about 108 years old when she gets out of jail. Realistically, at about 45 years, that will make her 63 years old when she gets out. So what will probably happen is they will be so old when they get out of jail that they will no longer be considered a threat to themselves or to anyone else, you know, unless they kidnap a white senior citizen and tie him up in an apartment and do the same thing again. And there is the monetary amount at $25,000 per fine. Each of them has collected fines up to $100,000 for a total of $400,000, almost $500,000. And, you know, if it were Judge KTM, you know, in KTM's Court of Justice, I'd show a little mercy because they didn't kill anybody. What they did was absolutely stupid and racist and ridiculous, but they didn't kill anybody. So what I would be willing to do is I would say, I'll tell you what, each of you is going to pay $100,000 to the victim. You're going to stay in jail and you're going to work off that $100,000 because you're not going to sit on the taxpayer dime in KTM's court. So you work off that $100,000, each of you pay that man $100,000, and I will let you out of jail when that $100,000 tab is paid up. However, you will be on probation for pretty much the rest of your life. And if you get in any trouble, again, that's when you go back to jail and you will not be let out. You will die in prison. And for little Miss Brittany Covington, Miss Covington, is that a pistol you're holding, Miss Covington? Because aren't pistols illegal in the state of Illinois? Well, I tell you what, because I get that gun charge on your ass too, but I'm willing to work with you because I will knock 10 years off your sentence if you tell me where you got that gun from and who you got it from and who's connected to that gun, because I would much rather prosecute who's bringing illegal weapons into the state of Illinois than keep some little hood rat smurfette locked up because she tied somebody up, videotaped herself torturing somebody. So in my opinion, 45 years each. They should not do any less than 45 years. If they do less than 45 years, if they come back with 20 years in jail, 10 years in jail, then white people, you have every right to take to the streets. You need to start getting your White Lives Matter signs out, and you need to thoroughly challenge what's going to happen to these little Negroes, because the world is going to be watching. Even though the world won't be watching the way we want it to watch, we're going to see what's going to happen with these four hood rats and what they did to this young man, and how exactly is the system going to prosecute them when they are guilty as all sin could possibly be. This is KTM in the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.